The attorney for Wikileaks founder Julian Assange is speaking right now. Let's have a listen.
Mother was here in court with him today.
Do you think Sweden to abuse the process, Mr. Stevens? Do you think the Swedish government are using the legal process?
I do believe that the Swedish process is an abusive process. Some later date. As I stand here now, as I did last week, despite the exhortation of the district judge, we still have not been given the material about these and the evidence to which Mr. Assange is entitled to allow him to understand the nature of the allegations against him.
Mr. Stevens, if the appeal does happen within the next hour from the Swedes, is it true that Mr. Assange will have to remain behind bars for 48 hours till there is another hearing?
Yes, whatever happens, Mr. Assange will have to stay behind bars, because he'll either be staying behind bars because there's an appeal and will be in court either late tomorrow or early Thursday, or because we haven't got £200,000 which we can deliver to this court in cash.
How soon?
Because of course checks take 7 days to clear.
How soon could you have £200,000 if allowed?
Well, we're putting the begging bowl out, and anyone that wants to send cash to the court here, I'm sure they'd welcome it.
Why did you choose £200,000?
We didn't choose it, the judge chose it. We chose a significantly lesser sum. And as you will have seen, we had a large number of people who were prepared to stand surety for £20,000. The position in the United Kingdom is that a person who stands surety promises to pay £20,000 in the event of a breach of bail, as opposed to putting up the cash, which is, of course, means you've got to liquidate a significant sum of money.
Mr. Stevens, Mr. Assange can't speak for himself, but he gave a thumbs.
Yes, there are a number of bail conditions which District Judge Riddle put on Mr. Assange's release. The first is that he live and sleep each night at a particular address, which was given to the court. The second, that he has to be in that property between certain hours of the day and night, so that he can be geo-positioned with an electronic monitoring equipment. That he has given 2 sureties to the court, and you've seen both of them, Vaughan Smith and Sarah, and in those circumstances he's also got to come up with a security that is a cash deposit, and those are the conditions before he releases, and otherwise, until those are met, particularly security, he will be sitting in the rather Victorian conditions at Wandsworth Prison, the prison where Oscar Wilde went.
Mr. Stevens, can you explain at the end there was a triumphant thumbs up?
The Oscar Wilde, the extradition process can take a number of years. We saw with Gary McKinnon that his extradition to America is still ongoing and potentially may not even get there. So it can be an extremely lengthy period, and for that reason we really don't understand why the prosecutor is wanting to turn this into a show trial.
Mr. Stevens, I stood beside Mr. Assange when he gave a thumbs up and a big smile at the end, a triumphant move. Can you describe that moment for you and him as you had a chance to communicate, and what he said to you that you can share with us?
Well, we were, I think, all very pleased. Everybody on the legal team, and that's many of us, have put in many hours of work this week, getting very little sleep. And part of the problem has been actually preparing the evidence and all the rest of it. It was, of course, an enormous relief, but it's tinged with enormous sadness that we on his legal team know that an innocent man is about to leave for jail for another night in solitary confinement, where he is denied access and ability to talk to other prisoners. He's locked up for 23.5 hours a day, and he's subject to infrared photography 24 hours a day. So it's a pretty unpleasant experience that he's going through at the moment. His mail is not getting through. He's not being allowed to read the newspapers, or indeed Time magazine, who sent him a magazine that was ripped up by the censors at the prison, and he was given an empty envelope.
Have any of the sureties said they'd give you the money? Have any of the sureties that you've got for surety, it said that they would give you part of the security?
Some of them have gone away to think about that. They're very decent people, but it obviously takes some significant amount of time to, even for people of enormous wealth, and particularly for people of enormous wealth and influence, to liquidate funds to make them available.
Okay, you've been listening to the attorney for Julian Assange, the founder of Wikileaks. As you know, bail has been set for Julian Assange. It's at £200,000. That is about 315,000 US dollars. He will be released into what is essentially house arrest once bail can be posted. You heard his attorney there, Attorney Stevens, saying that the begging bone is out to raise this money. As you know, Wikileaks has certainly angered a lot of diplomats, a lot of governments, world leaders, by publicizing secret U.S. cables. Although bail has been set, Julian Assange will stay in jail until bail can be posted. We'll continue to follow the story, of course. We're back in a moment. You're in the CNN Newsroom.